We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
Do you relish on your 4th of July hamburger? And more importantly, do you relish the cost that comes with it? As families and friends across the nation celebrate Independence Day, with backyard meals, we ask, just how much has that set you back under the Biden administration? Well, to help us figure out these numbers, we're joined by economist and author, Mr. Andrew Moran. Welcome back, Andrew.
Thank you for having me, and happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day to you. So this year, how much has the cost per person of the 4th of July barbecue gone up? Or has it gone down?
I will say one thing, though, that I compiled all of this data for my look at how much the 4th of July will cost. And the American Farm Bureau, they published their information 6 minutes after I submitted my article to the editors. So I blame them.
That is absolutely true. We have the timestamps, and yours, I believe, was more accurate. So, Andrew, how much did it cost?
Okay, yeah. So according to the Farm Bureau, it's going to cost 17% more this year than it was in 2021. And if you remember last year, the administration was celebrating because the average person was saving 16 cents on a July 4th cookout. But for my numbers, everything is up. I mean, ground beef is up 14%, bacon is up 16%, chicken's up 28%. So all your favorite goodies on the 4th of July is going to be up considerably, except strawberries. Strawberries are down more than 4% because of good fruit growing conditions and also competitive retail pricing.
So good for Wimbledon, not so good for the backyard barbecue.
I did see that. Yeah, the prices of the Wimbledon. So
Absolutely. Now, here's the thing, right? So we're talking about a 17% across the board, but it's not just the cost of food, is it? The cost of gas, the cost of fuel to heat your barbecue. If you're traveling to somebody's house to do this, that's also a cost. And I guess those aren't taken into the expenses put together by the Farm Bureau. So how is the average American faring now, and how will that feel going into the summer as we're expecting costs to continue to increase?
Well, if you compare the July 4th, or at least from now, compared to July 4th last year, gas prices are up an astounding 58%. Diesel's up another 60%, maybe even 70%. So all these costs just to get to somebody's house to have a 4th of July celebration, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. You're better off. I noted in my article that you're better off just being a breatharian, and in this case too, you're better off just walking to your friend's house to celebrate Old Glory and bleed red, white, and blue. But overall, I mean, people's conditions are worse off than they were a year ago. Because their savings have been depleted. Credit growth is on the rise. The economy is on the brink of recession. Inflation still up across the board. So, it's hard to be happy and jovial on the 4th of July when you have all these economic costs, surrounding you.
But is there a light at the end of summer?
Well, probably not, because, gas prices are still around $5. You see oil prices are skyrocketing again. They've had, a tremendous rally over the last week. It's up, I think, about 4% after it had that, brief 1 week sell off. So that's not good. What's funny is that a lot of analysts are now worrying about hurricane season. That it seems like everyone just forgot about hurricanes during the run up to $5 a gallon. So if there's a hurricane happening on the East Coast or the southern region of the United States, that's going to add dramatically to the price of gas. So you could probably see, like a lot of Liberty Nation readers noted in a recent poll of ours, many expect $6 a gallon of gasoline, and when you have hurricanes, it's most likely going to happen.
Did you happen to catch President Biden speaking to President Macron, talking about how Macron has already spoken to Saudi Arabia and they say they're already at maximum output? So what is behind Joe Biden's plan to go there to try and get them to ramp up more output when they already say that's as much as they can manage?
Well, I would say that watching Joe Biden trying to listen to Macron, he looked completely confused. It looked like he had no idea what Macron was talking about at all. But yeah, I mean,
we should point out that Macron was speaking English at the time.
That's correct. But since last fall, Biden, he's been pleading for OPEC and a lot of the Middle Eastern countries to start ramping up output. But OPEC keeps saying, we're doing as much as we can. And also, there's a lot of speculation that with fears of recession, which would lead to a reduction in demand, that there is concern that OPEC would either just freeze production at their planned output of 600,000 barrels per day, or even decrease it, which would, of course, add to tight conditions in the global energy markets. And, Macron is right. You look at some of the numbers coming out of the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and they are nearly at maximum capacity, which of course, I mean, they like that too, because the higher energy prices are, the more they recuperate from, the COVID era demand destruction that occurred with that some prices to sub-zero. So they're still making up for that lost time, for the lost year that they had.
Yeah, but of course, if they don't have any more to give, then Joe Biden's not going to be able to bring that in.
If I may add one thing though about the countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE and the broader OPEC, is that they're really transitioning away from North America and Western Europe to Asian countries. We talked about this a couple of months ago, or I may have discussed it with Scott Cosenza, about how Saudi and China, they're going to have they're considering yuan-denominated settlements of their transactions, and this is part of the broader goal of that region, is that they want to have more Asian trade. And you see also with a lot of Russian energy companies too, or a lot of Russian energy output and exports, it's going a lot to China and a lot of the BRIC nations. So I think that's also a considerable trend to monitor in the coming months and perhaps years.
I think many of our listeners are just screaming at the radio now, or the computer if they're watching it there, and they're just saying, why don't we do energy at home? I mean, under President Trump, for at least a few months of his last full year in office, the United States was energy independent. And that was a great place to be. It meant that costs were down. It meant that the future was looking rosy, and dependence on foreign oil was at an absolute minimum. And of course, geopolitical issues such as the invasion of Ukraine wouldn't really impact how domestic production goes on. So is it really just because Joe Biden is committed to a green agenda that he refuses to do what all of our listeners know he should be doing right now?
Well, I think the answer to that is in the prices, because considering everything that President Biden has done, tapping into strategic petroleum reserves, which are at a 36-year low now because of his actions, getting other countries to pump more, exporting more, everything he's doing is not working. The one thing that most market analysts say, and a lot of energy experts say, is that the U.S. just needs to produce more. And Biden can say 9,000 leases as much as he wants and make all these claims. But the thing is that he needs to reduce the regulatory burden of of the permitting process. He needs to support energy companies if these environmentalists go to court and establish litigation processes. He has to, he has to have more drilling on federal land. There's many things that he could do to mitigate this dramatic increase in prices, but he refuses to do so, hoping that this whole thing is just going to blow over and that OPEC's going to, open the taps, and that the war in Ukraine is going to end. He's just hoping everything is just going to subside so he doesn't have to do anything, while also claiming that he is doing everything in his power to stop this, $120 a barrel oil and $5 gasoline. But the industry is not happy with what he's doing. Everyone with common sense sees that nothing he's doing is working. It's only going to make the country less energy independent, and the reserves, they're below 500 million barrels. So that's about 25 days worth. So if a real emergency happens, the U.S. won't have enough oil to cover their energy needs.
Joe Biden doing everything possible except the one thing that will work. Andrew Moran, thank you ever so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're listening to Liberty Nation Radio, heard across the Radio America network from our flagship station in the nation's capital, WWRC in Washington, D.C. Now, further down the line, we talk how the government is reacting to the latest SCOTUS decisions. But up next, can Independence Day survive the woke? We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
We're doing it for real, really real. Liberty Nation.
And Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
I think we're starting to make an impact. Liberty style, fight for freedom.
The tracking poll sponsored by Liberty Nation for Thursday.
Mentioned by Dan Bongino, Rasmussen, Jordan Peterson, and
I can
others.
do it again if you want me to.
Cited in Mark Levin's American Marxism.
I think we're starting to make a really big impact. Get noticed. We're doing it. Rock on.